contract. What is the meaning of contract? Any agreement which is enforceable by law is a contract. Okay. So what is the meaning of agreement? Agreement is nothing but every promise or every set of promises forming a consideration for each other is an agreement. Okay. So it is very clear what is an agreement, what is a contract. Okay. So in Contract Act of 1872, a valid contract, there are some essential elements. Okay. We are going to see what are the essential elements for a valid contract. Number one, it is offer and acceptance. First one is the offer and acceptance. What is the meaning of offer and acceptance? Offer means a person who makes a proposal. That is the meaning of offer. So there are two parties in an offer and acceptance. Without two parties, there cannot be any contract. One must be an offerer, another one is offeree. An offerer is a person who makes the offer. Okay. The offeree means the offerer to whom he makes the offer. Okay. He is the offeree. When the offeree accepts or gives his consent, then it becomes a promise. Okay. That means he has accepted. That is the meaning of acceptance. Understood? So that is the meaning of offer and acceptance. Only if there is offer and acceptance, it becomes a valid contract. If there is no offer and acceptance, there is no contract. The second one is intention to create legal relationship. What is the meaning of intention to create legal relationship? That is, all agreements must be legal. Okay. Social agreements cannot be enforced by law. So that is the meaning of agreements which are enforceable by law is a contract. Okay, that is the meaning. Understood? So social agreements means agreements between friends, agreements between husband and wife cannot be enforced by law. So it is very clear that only legal agreements can be enforced by law. So you have to be very careful and clear. Okay. So what are social agreements? Social agreements, suppose a friend invites another friend, that is A, Mr. A invites B for his wedding. Okay. Suppose B, due to certain, that is, suppose he is having some work, he has not turned up for the wedding party. Okay. Immediately A cannot file a suit against B because it is only a social agreement. He has just given an invitation to come for the marriage, but B has failed to come for the marriage because he had some emergency work, so he has gone to attend the work. So he was unable to attend the. So these are all social agreements. Another example, suppose A invites his friend for a birthday party. He fails to come to the birthday party. Immediately A cannot file a suit against B. It's okay. Understood? So these are all just social agreements. Okay. Then what is the meaning of intention to create legal relationship? That is, there must be a consideration. Okay. Lawful consideration. Then only it becomes a valid contract. Okay. So A, suppose he wants to create legal relationship, A is agreed to sell his house for 50 lakhs. Okay. To B. So B in turn, he agrees to buy the house for 50 lakhs. Okay. In here, it is very clear that A and B, there is an agreement. Okay. A agrees to sell his house for 50 lakhs and B is also agreed to accept it and he wants to buy the house for 50 lakhs. Okay. So here there is a legal relationship. So that is the meaning of legal relationship, and social agreements cannot become a valid contract. Only legal agreements can be enforced by law. Understood? So for this, the third element is consideration. So without consideration, there is no contract. Okay. A, suppose he wants to buy, he wants to sell his house to someone. Okay, A should get some consideration. Otherwise, it will become, for example, A lends his book to B. Okay, so B, after reading the book for a week, he returns back the book. Then there is no consideration because he gives the book is returned. Okay, suppose if A sells his book to B and B pays for the price of the book. then the price is the consideration. Okay, so there is some consideration. That is the meaning difference between lending the book and selling the book. Understood? For example, A wants to sell his car for 5 lakhs to B. So B agrees to buy the car for 5 lakhs. On the due date, A delivers the car to B and B also pays the money for it. So both have rendered their obligations. Okay. Then in that case, the consideration for A is money because he is selling his car for money. That is 5 lakhs. So when A receives 5 lakhs, that is the consideration for the contract. And for B, the consideration is the car. Yes, that is he paid 5 lakhs and get the consideration as car. So car is the consideration for B and money is the consideration for A. So it's very clear. That is the meaning of lawful consideration. The fourth one is capacity of parties. Who are all competent to enter into a contract? Capacity of parties. So who can enter into a contract? A person who has attained the age of majority can enter into a contract. A person of sound mind can enter into a contract. Okay. So these two are very essential for a person to enter into a contract. Who cannot enter into a contract? A person who is disqualified. Okay. Disqualified to enter into a contract. These people cannot enter into a contract. Number one, a person who is a minor, he cannot enter into a contract. A person of unsound mind, he also cannot enter into a contract. A person who is an insolvent, he cannot enter into a contract. Then a person who is a foreign ambassador, he also cannot enter into a contract. A person who is an alien enemy means any person from an enemy country cannot enter into a contract for import or export business. Any business activity he cannot enter. So these are all people who are disqualified for entering into a contract. Apart from that, there are other persons, lunatic, idiots, all these things, they are unsound mind. The drunkard. Drunkard also at the time of entering the contract, if he is drunk, he cannot enter into a contract. Okay? A person who is a lunatic person or unsound mind, he also cannot enter into a contract. Who can enter into a contract? A person who has attained the age of majority and who is having a very sound mind, then only he is eligible to enter into a contract. So that is the meaning of capacity of parties. Next comes legal object. What is the meaning of object? Object means what is the purpose of entering into the contract? That should be legal. Otherwise, it becomes invalid contract. What is the meaning of legal object? Okay, legal object means that is you enter into a business or contract for a purpose which is permitted by the government of law, which is lawful by the and which is permitted by the to do the particular activity by the government of India. So such activity you can enter into that particular contract. Okay, for example, if you want to do a smuggling business which is prohibited by law, okay, we cannot do that. Okay, it becomes unlawful. Okay, so any lawful business which is permitted by the government of India, which is lawful, then it is called as legal object. Okay, you do some activity for which is very legal, which is enforceable by law. Then, in other words, it is enforceable by law. Then you can do that particular business. If it cannot be enforced by law, suppose you are doing a smuggling business, that business cannot be enforced by law. So that is the meaning of legal object. Legal object means the purpose. For what the purpose, the business you are doing for the purpose and the profit motive, whatever it is done should be legal. Okay, you must get the license and permit from the government of India. Then only it becomes a lawful business, legal business. Understood? So that is the meaning of lawful object. Next one is possibility of performance. What is the meaning of possibility of performance? Possibility of performance means feasibility. Okay, suppose I want to do some business, I can do because I have capital. I can enter into a partnership firm, or I can do a sole trader business, or whatever it is. But suppose which is impossible? Impossible means doing magic. Okay, giving that is suppose if I say, suppose someone here says that you will give a life to a dead body, you will bring rain tomorrow. Okay, it is a magic. Okay, which is not a possibility of performance. Okay, it cannot be performed by a normal man. Okay, unless he is a superman or whatever it is, it cannot be performed. That is not a valid contract. And that is not an element of a valid contract. Which is an element of a valid contract? Possibility of performance. Suppose if I am the owner of a particular house, I have the right to sell because the house is registered in my name. If I want to sell my car, the car is registered in my name, I can sell the car. So that is the meaning of possibility of performance. Suppose if I am owner of that particular property, I can sell. I have all the rights to sell the property. Then only there is a valid contract. Suppose A wants to sell his house to B. Okay, A is the owner of the house. He registered in his name. He wants to sell the house to B. B also agrees to buy the house. Okay, then there is a valid contract. That is the meaning of possibility of performance. The owner of the house or the owner of the property, owner of the car, he is having all the rights to sell the car, provided he is having the RC book and the proper deeds, sale deed. He can enter into a contract and sell the goods or property to the another person. Okay, that is the meaning of possibility of performance. Okay, and so next one is free consent. What is the meaning of free consent? Free consent means consent must be free. If the consent is not free, it is not a valid contract. Out of force or threaten, suppose someone is A threatens B. If you don't give me 1 lakh, I will kidnap your child. Then in this case, it is called as coercion. Okay, coercion. That is the meaning of coercion. A threatens or threatens B. Suppose if he does not give him 1 lakh, he will kidnap his child. Okay, here there is coercion, which is not a free consent. Understood? Consent will be free if it is not affected by the following. One is misrepresentation, mistake, undue influence, fraud, and coercion. All these 5 should not be affected. If any one element is affected, then in that case what will happen? It becomes unlawful. Okay, understood? So that is the meaning of free consent. The consent is free only if the person is not affected by misrepresentation or mistake or undue influence or fraud or coercion. Okay, if he is affected by any one of the 5, then it becomes it does not have free consent. So consent is free only if he does not affected by mistake, misrepresentation, coercion, undue influence and fraud. Understood? It is very clear now. Okay, that is the meaning of free consent. Free consent means a person who enters into a contract must have his own conscience. Okay, that is, he should do on his own accord. He should be having willingness to do that without any force. Okay, he should enter the contract happily. Okay, with his own accord, without any force, without someone should not force him. And that is the meaning of free consent. Okay, so next one is not expressly declared void. What is the meaning of not expressly declared void? That means when the government of India or the law says that some activity is prohibited by law, such activity you should not do that. For example, if you are going to open a liquor shop, okay, near a school or college, understood, then it becomes illegal. Okay, such activity is already prohibited by law. Okay, that particular agreement you should not enter or sign the agreement. Okay, in opening a liquor shop near a school or college, it is already warned by the government. Okay, it is not permitted by the government. That means it is illegal. So if you are going to enter into agreement for opening a liquor shop, wine shop near a school or college, it becomes void. Okay, that is the meaning of not expressly declared void. Okay, so you should not do such business near an educational institution. That is the meaning of not expressly declared void. There is another element which is an essential element for a valid contract. Understood? So next one is legal formalities. Legal formalities is very, very important, because any agreement or contract, okay, when you enter, proper documentation is very, very important. Otherwise, you cannot enforce it by law. So better you have consult a lawyer. Okay, suppose you want to sell your property, first you have to execute a deed okay, sale deed with the help of a lawyer. You have to type the agreement in a proper stamp paper, because the lawyer knows the value of the property. That is guideline of the value of the property. According to the guideline value of the property, the lawyer will have the proper stamp paper. Okay, with the help of that lawyer and the stamp paper, you can draft the agreement, and that agreement also both the parties who have entered into the contract must sign. Okay, with the proper witnesses. Understood? All these things the lawyer will take care. Suppose you you register a property with this particular documentation, naturally it becomes a valid contract. Understood? Valid agreement. Suppose you want to register your property, then you have to go to the register office with the help of a lawyer. Then you have to spend one day or some half a day. You go to the register office. You have to put your thumb impression. They will take the photo. All these things, the processes are there. Okay, all these things must be done by both the buyer and the seller. Suppose the buyer is five parties. Okay, all should sign. All the legal heirs should sign. Likewise, the seller, there are about 4 parties. All the 4 legal heirs must sign. Who are all involved in that property, they have to sign the document. Then only it becomes a valid contract. That is the meaning of legal formalities. It's only a practical knowledge I am telling you. Okay? Suppose you are going to sell a car, nothing to worry. If the name of the car, if the name is in the register RC book, then you can sell the car. Because he is going to sell the car, he is going to he will get the transfer form from the RTO office. Then he will sign the transfer form and delivers the transfer form to the RTO office and the name of the buyer. Okay, then in that case the buyer he will change the name of the seller, that is he will put his name in the RTO office. They will change the name of the seller and put the name of the buyer. Okay, so and when the buyer buys the vehicle, from that day onwards he becomes the owner of the vehicle. Understood? So that is the meaning of legal formalities. Understood? Then last one is consensus ad idem. What is the meaning of consensus ad idem? Consensus ad idem means identity of minds. Identity of minds means both the parties, offerer and offeree, okay, have should identity of minds, mutual identity of minds. Okay, that is what A thinks. We also, the buyer, what the seller thinks, buyer also should think in the same way. Okay, so what is the meaning of that? Suppose A is owning 2 houses. Okay, suppose he is having one house in Chennai. He is owning another house in Madurai. Okay, he agrees to sell Chennai house to Mr. B. Suppose B thinks that he is going to buy the Madurai house, then there is no identity of minds between A and B, because A thinks he wants to sell Chennai house and he started drafting the agreement, but B thinks he is going to buy Madurai house. So there is no mutual consent of minds. That is the meaning of identity of minds. In Latin, consensus ad idem means identity of minds. Understood? For example, you take another example. Suppose A is owning 2 cars. One is Maruti car, another one is Toyota. Okay. Suppose A wants to sell Maruti car to B. So B thinks that he is going to buy only Toyota car. Then there is no identity of minds. Okay. Because there is a confusion. Okay. Because A is the owner of 2 cars, Maruti and Toyota. He says that he agrees to sell his car, but B thinks that he is going to buy Toyota car, but A thinks he is going to sell Maruti car. So there is a confusion. There is no identity of minds. That is the meaning of identity of minds. Consensus ad idem is the last element of essentials element of a valid contract. So the identity of minds is very, very important. If there is no identity of minds, it is not a valid contract. So that is the meaning of what seller thinks. In the same way, buyer also must think. So these are the 10 elements of a valid contract. Okay, I think now it is very clear for you. Okay, already I have told you all agreements which are enforceable by law is a contract. Okay, sometimes they may ask you in the exam, all contracts are agreements, but all agreements are not contract. What is the meaning of that? All contracts are agreement means already contracts means only agreements which are enforceable by law is a contract. So contract, we are clear. Contract means it is only enforceable by law. Okay, you have to keep in mind. Agreement means it can be enforced it cannot be enforced. Okay, so only they say all contracts are agreement, but all agreements are not contract, because all agreements cannot be contract. There are some agreements which are enforceable by law, some agreements which are not enforceable by law. So you have to be very clear. Okay, so some indirect questions will be asked in the exam. Okay, all contracts are agreements, but all agreements are not contract. Comment. In that case, what you have to do, if the agreement should be enforceable by law, then the agreement should satisfy all the 10 elements of a valid contract. What are the 10 elements of the valid contract? I repeat once again. Number 1 is offer and acceptance. Number 2 is intention to create legal relationship. Number 3, legal object. Okay, lawful consideration. Number 4, capacity of parties. Okay. Number 5, legal object. Number 6, possibility of performance. Number 7, free consent. Okay. Number 8, not expressly declared void. Number 9, legal formalities. Number 10, consensus added in, which is nothing but identity of minds. So if a person satisfies all the 10 essentials of a valid contract, then the contract becomes valid. Understood? Now I think it is very clear what is an agreement, what is a contract. If the agreement is a valid agreement, then it becomes a valid contract. So all agreements which are enforceable by law, it becomes a contract. Understood? So now you know what is an agreement, what is a contract. So only I told you what is an agreement. Agreement means every promise and every set of promises for the consideration, okay, forming part of the consideration for each other, then it is an agreement. At the same time, when the agreement is enforceable by law, that means when the agreement satisfies all the essentials of elements of a valid contract, then the agreement becomes a valid contract. Understood? So whenever there is a question, indirect question, which is all contracts are agreements, but all agreements are not contract. In that case, what you have to write, the answer will be, you have to write all the 10 elements of a valid contract. Because if you want to turn the agreement into a valid contract, the agreement should satisfy all the 10 elements of a valid contract. Then it becomes a valid contract. If it does not satisfy any one of the elements of the valid contract, then such agreements cannot be enforced by law. So now it is very clear that how the contract is formed. Okay, that means all agreements which are enforceable by law is a contract. So with this I wind up this session. Thank you for listening. Okay, bye.